Hey everybody, welcome, and glad I'm back. I want to take things out of a bit of a sequence though, and talk first about what has become my favorite active television show. I say active because my truly favorite television show is Star Trek, the original series. But Emergence on ABC is my current favorite show of all, and I'm not going to go so much into why. Uh, but I'm going to explain first what Emergence is all about, and tell you why I think you need to see this program. Okay, Emergence is is a confusing. It reminds me of this saying that's kind of an enigma wrapped in a thing, wrapped in a right. And I think, as inarticulate as I sound when I put that out there, if you binge watched Emergence, um, and on ABC app, you would say, okay, I think he's right. I think what he's saying is correct. And that whole enigma around the thing wrapped it, that's a line from a Dennis Harper movie. Okay. But I love the show, and I love it for all kinds of reasons. Most because, and I just have to say this, it's really, I'm 57, okay? And it's really refreshing, and there are a lot of shows like this, to see programs that are, well, that are diverse, that reflect America as it truly is, as opposed to what I got for most of my life, which is a television program like Emergence of the Past, which would be entirely white, like, say, Lost in Space, okay, originally, which is one of my favorite programs. Star Trek was the lone outlier, and you would immerse yourself with those characters anyway because you love the show. But now you can quite literally see yourself in different characters, particularly those characters look like you, right? But that's not the point of it. It's America, and that's the way it should be. And Emergence, I think, says that better than any other show uh, I've seen. I love it. Okay, so and I'm glad it's coming back in January. And now you would say, okay, Zinni, what's it about before we talk about the Raiders? Joseph Armendariz says, Emergence is also thought provoking. Joseph is also one of our vloggers. And he says, Emergence is great. Did they resume today? Today was the winter finale. It's coming back January 7th. But let me tell you what Emergence is about, starting with the wonderful cast, paced by the excellent Allison Tolman, who plays Joe Evans, the FBI. Uh, um, uh, the FBI. Excuse, that's there. So I'm exhausted. Huh, not the FBI. The FBI is really giving her problems, but she's a local police person, okay, and police sheriff. But Alexa Swinton is Piper. She is the focus of the show, and Alexa is supposed to be originally a 12-year-old girl who was found as the lone survivor of what appeared to be a plane crash. All right, and she had no home, but she immediately latched on to Joe. Owen Yeoman plays Benny Gallagher, and Benny is supposed to be this reporter, all right? But we found out tonight that he is actually something else. That was crazy. That was absolutely wild. I mean, he was quite literally, if there was a definition, if there was a photograph next to the definition of hiding in plain sight, it would be the photograph of Owen Yeoman. Period, end of story. And then there's Ashley Odenheide. Did I pronounce Ashley's name right? Who plays Mia Evans. And Mia Evans is Joe Evans' daughter and becomes Piper's best friend. Is really, and really, together, the two of them, uh, Alexa Swinton and Ashley Odenheide, produce some of the more memorable, not that there aren't a lot, but there are a ton of, but a lot of the more memorable and heartwarming scenes in Emergence. Then there's Robert Bailey Jr., who I I think has liked my tweets more than anybody else. Thanks, bro. Who plays Officer Chris Minetto? Who's this is a cool dude. I mean, like nothing phases him. You know, it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, he's always reliable. He's always there. He almost represents how you and I would react. A sense, a combination of awe and Cowboy says, "This is that actor plays from Alex from Scrubs." Yeah, that's it. Right. Scrubs. That's actually Donald Faison. Okay, and I'll get to him in a second. Robert Bailey Jr. I don't know if he plays in Scrubs, but anyway. But I know that Donald Faison does. Sabrina Goyeva is Abby Frazier. She plays a doctor. She's also another wonderful person, and who also I interacted with on Twitter tonight and put in another excellent performance as a not just a doctor but a family friend, right? Trying to figure out what all this is going on with this girl or robot or alien called Piper. At first, everyone thought she was an alien, okay, but it turns out that I'm still not quite sure what's happening here because they seem like they are first alien, then AI, and then code. And now the people that are revealed, it's like, I believe we've been lied to all the time, okay, about this. There's something going on here that is really deep. And I mean, major league, like several layers of a great ham and cheese quiche deep, okay? Then there's Donald Faison, who plays Alex Evans, who is the husband, excuse me, of Joe Evans. I was going to say they were separated, but whether they're husband and wife. And Clancy Brown plays Ed. Ed is the father of Joe. And then there's Maria Diza, who plays Emily, who at first seems like she was this kind of assistant to Terry Quinn, who played Dr. Richard Kindred, all right, and then turns out that she's trying to pass herself off as the mother, and she's still out there. Her head is all screwed up. Terry O'Quinn as Mr. Kindred. He was killed in a weird way. I'm not even sure if he's actually really dead. Evangeline Young plays Daphne. Seth Barge plays Alan Wilkins. There's a deep cast of people here that I think I should stop right there. You get the gist of it, okay? It is an incredible show, and it brings up a lot of thought-provoking ideas about who we are as people and what makes up reality. I think that's what the other attractive part of it is for me. Cowboy Wrestler says he would look familiar, talking about Donald Faison. Raider Gann says best superhero I've seen over the last couple of decades was the Crisis on Infinite Earths on CW. By the way, that's coming back, and I'm telling you, hey, Raider Gans. And Raider Gans says they even brought old Flashback. You gotta check it out. Yeah, I got some news for you about that. Joseph Amenderis says a lot of symbolism and recently a play on color schemes like the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. Yeah, that's interesting. You're right. I didn't think about it that way. You're absolutely right. The red pill, blue pill thing. Back to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Infinite Earths and Emergence have one thing in common. And I will tell you one, it's not so much a thing as it is a person, and a person who happens to be a friend of mine, actually, and whose work you have been aware of and exposed to for some time, who's actually doing Crisis on Infinite Earths and Emergence, right? And his name is Blake Neely. That's right. Blake Neely, I interviewed 2 years ago at Comic-Con, but Blake Neely is doing the music for Emergence. Very quiet under the radar. I didn't even get a press release on that one. But so if you're listening to that, this is Blake Neely right here, who I interviewed at Comic-Con. I've interviewed Blake a number of times, okay? That's the first time I interviewed him. The second time I interviewed him, that's with the third time with he and Junkie XL, who did the music for Deadpool. And then, of course, this is Nathan Bloom and Blake Neely. If you ever listen to the CNN the series in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, these two men have also did that music. So basically, Blake Neely is the modern maker of the music that impacts your lives and you don't even know it. And I didn't even know it. I mean, Blake, he's also done Blind Spot on NBC. Um, he did Supergirl, which is how I first became aware of him. And Blake has probably done a bunch of other things that I can't even, that I didn't know. He did Arrow. He's done the whole Arrowverse. Let's put it that way. All right. And both he and the Arrowverse showrunner that I actually met. Hey, John Akala, how you doing? Oh, excuse me. Why that happens. Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. He and the Arrowverse showrunner talking about Blake, basically talking about Blake Neely when I say the he, and Mark Guggenheim. I met Blake Neely actually introduced me to Mark Guggenheim at the Hilton Bayfront in San Diego for this year's Comic-Con. And these two gentlemen are a riot. I can't say how I know that because I'm privileged. That's privileged information. But these two gentlemen are a creative riot of people. I'll just say that. Who I am blessed to say that I know. Incredible. Incredible. You got to watch Emergence because I think it leads to a lot of questions that are appropriate to our time about technology, human technology interaction, if it is indeed that. We still don't know because there are a lot of gray areas, right? Who's the splinters? You know, I mean, the splinters just emerged this episode, and Joe just sort of hit us with like, wow, the splinters. And he told the FBI guy, you know, you're one of the, your name has come up in every manifest and everything else. So I was like, whoa, heck, you know. So you can tell I'm into this. I can't remember the last time I have been this into a non-sports program. It's been a long time. It has been a long time. That's why I'm starting off talking about this, and I'm going to interweave the Raiders conversation into it. But I have to talk about Emergence. I don't know how many people have seen it. And hey, Joseph, can you explain the whole deal regarding the red pill, blue pill thing? Oh, and let me talk about the finale tonight and how others in media are talking about it. This something's called Meow. I never heard of it. So then Celebrity Dirty Laundry. That's a cool name for a celebrity blog. So hey, they're airing your dirty laundry, and Raider Gans says the Game of Thrones, the last show he was following. And Raider Gans, I have nothing against Game of Thrones. I just don't get HBO. And when Game of Thrones did come on, it was always during Sunday Night Football, right? And so it was like Sunday Night Football, Game of Thrones, Sunday Night Football because it, you know, it has to do with what I do, right? But at any rate, this is Emergence Fall Finale Recap, Where You Belong. And tonight on ABC, this is Celebrity Dirty Laundry's take on it, basically. And basically, they repeat the common description of the episode, which is this. Joe and Chris must evade the FBI as they investigate an elusive group of cyber terrorists. That's interesting. And Ed's presented with a cancer treatment that seems too good to be true, and a mysterious woman's attempt to reach Piper puts the entire Evans family in danger. The only thing about this is that it says Joe and Chris, And I think they mean, when I look at this, I think they mean Alex. And I think they made a mistake there because it was Joe and Chris really weren't, and then Benny was evading the FBI. So this is written by somebody that isn't really following and didn't really spot the error. But really, Alex is the husband to Joe, and it was Joe and Alex that were doing that, when they were talking about that. But I think, in the way they described it, okay, I think that was a bit of a mistake there on their part. But it could also very well be that they maybe, well, no, they actually copy pasted. Yeah, they copy pasted something, and without really thinking about it. Uh, uh, in terms of this whole matter of the FBI, and I wouldn't describe it as evading at all. That was, I think that's inaccurate myself. Um, it's more like Joe and Alex set up a a special James Bond like operation, I'll put it that way, in order to catch someone who has a special interest in Piper, uh, doing in the middle of an act of wrongdoing. I would say, I would describe it like that. Okay, that's how I would describe it. I think that's the more accurate, uh, presentation than what I just read to you on a publication that is called Celebrity Dirty Laundry. And now we see why, because you're getting news that's kind of dirty, right? You have to clean it up. All right. Um, so yeah, so I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's that, um, at all. Now I think when they refer to Chris, I think they mean Robert Bailey's character, which is Officer Chris Minetto. But I wouldn't say that they're evading the FBI, because it doesn't really start off that way. It starts more off with, uh, with this FBI fellow and Joe, going to his office and basically saying, "Hey, what are you up to?" And they're trying to. It's like they're sort of doing this dance, like a couple of boxers, trying to figure each other out, right? Um, and then that same guy goes to Benny's place, and Benny is the one that's kind of like, "Hey, why are you here? I don't have much to tell you. Essentially, go away," without really saying "go away." All right. Um, and what was really strange to me is that Benny, in 2 episodes prior, was the target of of Piper's anger, as Piper was being taken away by Emily, and Piper did that psychokinetic thing where she can basically shake a house and cause wind to blow and blow you away and everything. Well, she did that to Benny, and here comes Benny is back, and I would think Benny would be like, "Hey, I'm a little scared here," but he wasn't. And folks, the reason he wasn't, because it turns out that Benny is just like her. They've been hiding that blankety blank all season long. Okay, Benny's just been hiding there under the radar. Benny's played by Owain Yeoman, and who expertly, I might add, as if I know of anybody who could play it better, right? So but I just got a kick out of it. I just completely got a kick out of it. Joseph Amador says, the last episode I saw was interesting because we saw Piper self-correcting her code. And that's interesting. She's been doing that though since the first episode, because if you follow Emergence through all of its episodes, the first episode she takes this little node out of her ear with a knife. She did more than correct her code. She quite literally, if you want to say it, if you want to say that she stabbed herself, or what does he do? She did this. She did her operation on herself, because she said this thing was telling her to leave, and that what I'm just telling you was something that was made clear in the finale. But that thing was telling her, she says, to leave, and she didn't want to leave, so she basically took it out of her system, like she got that thing away. And all through Emergence, you've had that thing now telling her to leave, she got rid of that the first episode. You had Emily trying to get her out of there. You had Terry O'Quinn's characters trying to get her out of there. You had Benny lurking around all the time, waiting for the right moment to get her out of there. Then you had this Helen coming along, who I like Helen. Yeah, Helen could break you apart. Okay? And Helen, I just have to say, Helen can break your heart. Helen was played by the mysteriously beautiful Rowena King, and she's signed on for 2 episodes for this season. And they played her as bionic, like she just leaped off the bridge and into the drink, fully in black, and like, whoa, didn't see that coming. There are a lot of didn't see that coming scenes in this Emergence. There really were. And something else too is that I just want to know if that brings up a lot of questions, right? In one fell swoop, what we saw at the end was Piper being snuck away by Benny, and then Benny lying to her and saying, "We're to meet Joe," and then here comes Helen, who had just swam away bionic style, right, in the water. And that was my assumption. I said she must be bionic. Turned out I was kind of right. And Piper says, "I want to go home," and she starts running away. And says, "No, no, no, you don't understand. We're friends. We're just like you." And they start glowing like she did. Okay, but the whole point is, it opens a ton of questions. First of all, who made them? All right, who made them? Joseph says, "You're lucky I already saw it. I'm waiting for it to show over here at 10. Oh, so I'm giving you a spoiler. Sorry, you got to watch it. It's like, who made them? Okay, where did they come from? And why? Or did they make themselves? And what do they mean, like, be with us? Okay, what does that entail? And who are they? I mean, it's a lot. And why? And what does it mean for Joe? What does it mean for Alex? What does it mean for poor Mia, who probably feels like she keeps losing her friend, her sister, right? Who's got to be devastated from all this. Talking about Ashley and Heidi's character. And what's it gonna mean for next time? All right. And Cabrera says, "That's right, Joseph is out west." Yeah, Joseph is in LA. I'm in Atlanta. We're all spread out all over the place. Okay. So now that you're here, and I'm going to talk about 2 things. I'm going to interweave the Raiders into this, because the Raiders could still make the playoffs. That's right. So for those of you who are new here, who are thinking I'm talking about Emergence, I am. But we also normally talk about the Raiders. But I thought, you know what? I want to mix some things here, because I think I have agile enough of mind to keep 2 seemingly separate ideas active at the same time. It's kind of like, balls in the air, right? So that's the idea here. The Raiders are 6 wins and 7 losses. Now, the reason why I opened the question of whether or not the Raiders can make the playoffs is because they're in the hunt. And Angel, did I pronounce that right? Angel Bautista Perez. Well, okay, Angel, it's been a while. Angel has the most beautiful name in the universe. Angel Bautista Perez. Angel Bautista Perez. Sounds like he should be king of something, At any rate, Angel says Raiders can still make the playoffs because the Titans can easily lose out because they play the Texans twice and the Saints, and we got to look at the loser from the Bills-Steelers game. Yeah, that's right. And Joseph Amendola says that's on today's transactions for the Raiders. Yeah, I think the Raiders make a lot of transactions. It seems to me, although I haven't empirically looked at this, but it seems to me that the Raiders have made more transactions this year than they did last year. I'm not saying they didn't make last year or the year before, but it seems like Mike Mayock was consistently moving players in and out, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing. And I think it's really a key to why the Raiders wound up with the record they did. One key, not the key, one key. And my point is that you bring in new players, they have to do what? They have to learn your system, right? And if you don't have a verbiage that people can pick up quickly, which the Raiders don't on offense, uh, you have a problem. Joseph Madura says, in a way, I think it's bad because there's no stability. It seems like everyone's always trying to catch up to the schemes of what the Raiders want their players to do. Yeah, they catch up to them and then they're gone, right? It's like they're here and they're gone. Cowboy Rest is sadly, John Akala says, I think the Titans are going to win this division now. Texans are too inconsistent. I have to agree with you. The Titans are really coming on at the right time. And the way they're playing right now, I would not be surprised if they made a deep entry into the playoffs. Cowboy Rusher says, sadly, nobody in the Bay Area is paying attention to the Raiders because of the 49ers' successes of late. Yeah, the 49ers, you have to tip your hats off to Jed York, because I was critical of his consistent firing, and then he kept changing people and changing coaches 4 times, once a year for 4 years, until he found the right combination. Head coach Kyle Shanahan, of course, general manager, the terrific former Stanford free safety John Lynch, who went on the NFL fame with the Broncos. But they have done an excellent job of building a champion. They went back to the old 49er way of having the big, quick, young defensive lineman paced by their first-round pick, Nick Bosa, right? And then they had Solomon Thomas from Stanford. They've just been gathering up these great young defensive players like they were basically stoking the fires for a great bonfire, storing the wood for a great bonfire. And Cowboy Ressa says, Jordan York learned from the mistakes of the Harbaugh Baki era. Yeah, but he also wasn't afraid to just say, you know what, this isn't working, and then just shift out of it. And he was really determined. And the media was critical of him. I was critical of it. I thought, hey, get something stick. But at the end of the day, I have to say that he did it the right way. I thought it's not the way I would do it. Okay, I think you have to have a more of an empirical approach. But his approach was just say, okay, I'm going to come in, I'm going to give you a year. If it goes the way I think we've got to go, and if it looks promising, fine. And he got with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and saw that they were on a path to success and stuck with them. And the decision paid dividends, because right now the 49ers, you have to consider with the faltering of the Patriots in the NFC, only the Ravens look like they're better than the 49ers right now, and they're in the AFC. So what we seem to be looking at is a rematch of the Niners-Ravens game of a Sunday ago. That's what it looks like we're really appearing to. I don't know what you guys think about that. But, I hate to say this because it's not personal toward the man, John Gruden, who I like. But I think the Raiders have to, having just talked about Jed York, I think they have to start considering another way. I know Mark feels like he's committed $100 million to John, but after 2 straight years, and I know it was got a new GM, it should be 1 more year. And if it's not happening, I think they need to make some changes. I'm not in favor of firing the head coach. I'm in favor, but here's my problem, okay? Here's why I mention that, all right? Here's why I mention that. Rob Iman says, he thinks that unfortunately Carr is going to be the scapegoat. John Gruden's problem is that he has this offensive structure and this way of play calling during games that does not allow for quick in-game adjustment. And not only that, I've watched the All-22, and there are a number of plays that really stick out to me as the hallmark of Raider problems, and one of them is the first play, which I can't show you on video here for copyright reasons, but I can probably freeze frame it. I won't do it right now because of the time, because I didn't plan to. But it's the first play against the Jets. It's a running play where Josh Jacobs was down for a 3-yard loss, rather 2-yard loss. But if you take a look at the coach's angle from the end zone, it quite literally looks like you have one offensive lineman going one way, next to another going the other way. Everyone blocking at cross purposes are all screwed up. I mean, it was an obvious mistake. You don't design a play to come off like that. You just don't. And yet that's exactly what happened. And when it wasn't that, it was the Raiders not taking advantage of the fact that the Jets were quite literally primed to stop them up close. The Raiders weren't play action and trying to get the ball over their heads early to a running back, right? Let's say out of I formation, you call a fake off tackle to the right side with the tight end on the other side, right? And so Carr would come back fake weak right side. Let's say the tight end does this kind of fake corner pattern and then comes back to the post. Will be wide open because you believe you're gonna get the free safety on this side to cheat forward. Okay, that would have been wide open. And you do that on first down. And you do that against the kind of defense the Jets presented. But the Raiders didn't do anything like that. So, and that's really, they should have done that on second down, figuring that, hey, you know what? The Jets are going to give that to us. Okay, let's get out of our script and go there. But see, John's got this script of plays that he uses, and he has to marry himself to the script come hell or high water. And he's got to adjust the script as he goes along. And I'm sure that he does, but not to the fare thee well that I think he needs to do in order to produce wins in the future. I'm really concerned about his inability to alter a game as it unfolds. It's like he's quite literally watching his own funeral, that's how it feels. It's like because he's standing there, all you see on the sidelines is he's making all these faces rather than sitting down as Belichick would do. How many times have you seen Coach Belichick back there sitting down with the players, working through, talking with them, talking about specific technical issues that need to be addressed? Gruden doesn't do that, all right? So John Acosta says, if the Raiders opt in for the 2020 season in Oakland, does there have to be another vote for the opt-in? You mean for 2021? Yeah, that would have to be brand new, because right now you've got, and I'm glad you mentioned that, right now, because the Raiders have a big problem, okay, that has to do with sponsorship, which I'll get to in a second. So, hey, by the way, how many people have watched Emergence on ABC? You can show your hand by just saying why. I'll just say, like me. I'm putting in or me, like me for Emergence, Emergence, right? Boom, me for Emergence. How about you? You watched Joseph? I mean, did anybody else see the finale? Who might be? There's 20 of you on right now, which is pretty good. Did anyone else see the finale? One of you dropped off. He's like, oh no, he's gonna go back to that. No, I'm intermixing, but well, you're gone now. Right? So hey, anybody else? Oh, nobody else. Okay. Well, anyway, I will while you are, and I realize there was a delay here. I am going to get up the. Donis says no. Donis, you must watch Emergence. Donis, you must watch Emergence. Have you ever seen one episode? Gotta see it, man. Gotta see it. Anybody else? I know Joseph Armendariz watched one before, right? Right? Boy, silent crowd on that. Or are you guys, or guys and gals? Oh, Joseph, you seen all of them? Nice. You're just waiting for 10 o'clock, which would be 1 o'clock here. So you've got another 20 minutes. You're just chomping at the bit. All right. Let me read to you Yeah, Jefferson says, yeah, I'm chomping at the bit. Let me read to you the main problem right now with the Raiders in Las Vegas. And it's not the, although there's another problem. It's not the whole Bolts thing. Hey, Roland Dubs, how you think? How you doing? That's another problem. This is a new problem. This is a new problem. And the problem is, it started, excuse me. Okay. All right. The Southern Nevada Water Authority was to put $30 million in the form of sponsorship into Las Vegas Stadium, Allegiant Stadium, right? They were going to be what would have been the 10th founding partner sponsor. The Raiders need 12, okay? But then it was very quietly kept, only put out by the Nevada Independent, that deal was put on hold. This was the news as of November 19th on the Nevada Independent, and it goes like this. Water Authority delays $30 million 10-year marketing contract with Raiders, seeks input from advisory group. And what Riley writes is this for the Nevada Independent. Scott Hunley, an executive with the Water Authority, said Monday that the Southern Nevada Water Authority's executive team had decided to move the proposed contract from the authority's Thursday meeting and instead kick it to a January meeting of a Citizens Advisory Board, to which I would say, go at first, but you know what? Hold on. It's going to be interesting, all right? Because the question is, who's on the Citizens Advisory Board, all right? So anyway, it reads like this, okay? The initial version of the proposed contract would have seen the Water Authority pay an annual $2.5 million with an annual 4% increase to the still under construction Allegiant Stadium, which would house the National Football League's Oakland Raiders franchise beginning this year in 2020, ostensibly. The construction cost of the stadium is partially financed by 100% hotel room tax that funds the $750 million subsidy of the $2 billion stadium. Anyway, this is stuff that you already know. That's what they're writing, okay? The contract would have made the Water Authority a founding partner sponsor. I'm completing Riley's words here. With exclusive physical television and radio advertising privileges in the new stadium, but would have marked a major expansion of the agency's marketing and advertising budget. The Water Authority's overall marketing budget for water compliance and conservation is roughly $4.9 million a year, and a spokesman for the authority said in an earlier interview that it spent only about $500,000 total in other advertising arrangements with sports teams at UNLV, minor league baseball teams, Las Vegas Aviators, Las Vegas Lights SC, and the National Hockey League's Golden Knights. Hunley said the authority's leadership had decided to take input, all right, from a recently reformed advisory committee composed of business and labor leaders, conservation advocates, and economists before making a decision on the contract. Quote, they would like to have them consider and make a recommendation regarding moving forward in this way to the board and then consider it after the advisory committee gets a chance to make the recommendation. The board that will take on the contract under advisement is called the Integrated Resource Planning Advisory Committee, which held its first meeting under its current membership in October and will include discussion on the proposed Raiders contract during its meeting in January, where it would discuss water conservation issues. The 11 members of the committee include Ken Evans of the Urban Chamber of Commerce, who's also on the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board, Peter Guzman of the Latin Chamber of Commerce, who's a big advocate of the Raiders deal, Boulder City resident Carol Jeffries, don't know where she stands, Nevada Conservation League Executive Director Andy Maggie, don't quite know where he stands, Paul Mordecai of the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce, who would ostensibly be pro-relators. Tom Morley of Labor Union Local 872, that's Tommy White, so he's aligned with him, right? Bob Moraine of GC Wallace Engineering on behalf of the Southern Nevada Home Builders Association. So they might seem to be approval, but you're not quite sure. Jonas Peterson, the president and CEO of Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. Phil Ralston, American Nevada Company. John Restrepo of RCG Economics. And Virginia Valentine, president of the Nevada Resorts Association. The proposed contract would have given the Water Authority wide advertising and marketing privileges, digital and physical advertising space on TV, radio, and social media in both English and Spanish, sponsorship of a 2-minute warning, broadcast rights for the football team's final non-nationally televised preseason game, as well as exclusive advertising rights throughout the stadium's bathrooms. Oh, God. So basically, when you're taking a leak, you'll be reminded that your leak is sponsored by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Just saying. Hunley estimated that the contract would bring an estimated 169 million impressions yearly, and help the Water Authority. Hey, someone's finally figuring out the online thing. Bring its conservation message to a larger and more diverse audience than a traditional marketing campaign. So again, basically, they're going to be in the bathroom for Raiders games telling you, hey, conserve water when you flush that toilet. I can actually imagine this TV over every urinal that has this Las Vegas showgirl telling you the advantages of water conservation as you're using the bathroom. I'm not kidding you, okay? I am not kidding you. It would get your attention. But I digress, all right? Just saying, folks. Hey, you can't make this stuff up. But news of the contract attracted opposition from a variety of groups. And this is where it gets deep, man, okay? This is where it gets deep, man. From the libertarian-leaning Nevada Policy Research Institute to dyed-in-the-wool Democrat Clark County Commissioner Tick Segerblum, who made his concerns with the deal known on Twitter, which he then said this, and it goes as follows, and I quote, this is Tick Segerblum. The simplest way to conserve water is to charge more and make the rates more progressive, subsidizing rates with sales tax revenue, and then spending dollars on advertising to encourage conservation seems counterintuitive. So basically what he's saying is, hey, look, I'm subsidizing rates with sales tax revenue, right? And then I'm spending $30 million in advertising to encourage conservation. At the same time, I'm, trying to conserve what, I get what he's saying, okay? And then, but there's more in this tweet. Here's the reaction by somebody named Dr. Jim, who's Sin City Shrink. He's a Las Vegas psychologist. $30 million in public money to advertise water conservation to tourists in a building that costs $2 billion in public money is repugnant. Yeah. So basically, technically, the public money contribution went from $750 million, very quietly, to 700 and I just realized that. That's a headline, folks. The public money contribution would go from 750 million, which was supposed to be capped. Remember that? But they snuck it in there. From 750 million to 780 million. Ooh, okay. Okay. Hey, G. Taylor, okay. What does that tell you? It tells me, big problem financing. Ding, ding, ding. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Okay. Big problem. All right. Because it's a big problem two ways. Let me say what the big problems are in those two ways. First of all, it's a big problem because the Raiders and Legends are not able to snare any more founding partner sponsors that could pay $30 million who are private sector members. Do you have to go to the public sector in Nevada? I have never heard of that, folks, which leads me to this desire to do this quick rundown inventory of who the founding partner sponsors are as I speak, and see if there has been anybody else added to the list. There were 9 before, and I'm going to get you that information within a few seconds because it's something that you and I both should know and consider. All right. Founding partners of Allegiant Stadium, of which Allegiant itself is one. The page is refreshing, and we have this, okay? Well, the Raiders and Intermountain are listed, but that's really for the Raiders headquarters, so that doesn't count, even though they have it here, right? Okay, so it's Desert Ford Dealers. Here's what this looks like, okay, folks? All right, read this carefully. Bam. It looks like Ford, right? But it really isn't Ford. It's Desert Ford Dealers. Then it's San Manuel Casino, which I think is really cool, all right? That's 2. It's not Coca-Cola, but it's Reyes Coca-Cola Bottling. That's 3. Twitch is 4. Credit One is 5. Cox is 6. Allegiant Stadium is 7. America. Yeah, it's a lag there. Oh boy, let's see here if I can kill some pages. So at any rate, the Raiders have this shortfall. I'm back. I never left. It's this weird thing. The Raiders have this shortfall, and the shortfall is because of 2 reasons. They're asking for a lot of money for their sponsorships, and there are a number of people who don't feel that the economy justifies the level of ask the Raiders and Legends are seeking. And then something else that we cannot forget, ever forget, and that is that Las Vegas is not the largest media market. It's not even the 15th largest media market in the country. It is the 42nd largest television media market in the country. 42. And that, combined with its still relatively small population size, is producing a problem. As I always said, Las Vegas is your, hey, Chi, how you doing? Chi says Raiders can make playoffs but need a lot of help. Yeah, but if they have to win out. I'll get to that in a second. But the point that I'm making is that the big problem, okay, the big problem is that they're not able to get these private sector people to cough up money. And I know they've been asking around. They're not able to do it. So they have to turn and beg for the public sector to give them $30 million more. And they were just about to get it, but then a number of people said, oh, well, wait a minute. There is an outside chance they may not get that money. There is a greater chance that money gets reduced, okay? So this is a huge problem, folks. This problem is as large in its way as the bad bolt issue is in its way, and the cable net roof problem is in its way. So the Raiders and the Las Vegas Stadium Authority have noted that every time they get sponsor money, because they're trying to identify money, they apply it to some need, right? This is a big problem because the Raiders at first, I know, thought, okay, good, we got that 30 million out of the way. Next, and all of a sudden there's this hiccup. So they have to have a contingency plan in case they don't get that. And they have to really work to get more than the 12 minimum founding partner sponsors they say they need. Really, the way this is going, they need 16 signed up. Okay. Um, John Conn says, can that problem prevent Raiders from moving at all? No, that's not, that is not a consideration here, okay, at all. And I'm not even going to fall into that trap of being the person that is said to have said that, because there are people around here who watch this who just sit to lie, to tell lies about something that I've said. And that's not the case here. Let me put it this way. The stadium is being built. It will at some point be finished. Okay. It just is looking more like it's not going to be finished. Yeah. So what is happening is that what they have to do is make sure the main structure of the stadium is completely built before they finish raising and attaching the cable net roof, and once they do that, and my worker informants tell me it's not going to be until late April when they're able to raise the roof, okay? Then they've got to start putting the panels over it. All right? That's going to take, what, another month or so? So you're talking about late April, then late May, June, July. You can't keep taking things out of sequence, because as we've seen with the cable net issue, when you do that, you start pulling on the cables. You pull on the cables tied to a structure that isn't ready to take the entire weight, you cause more problems with respect to bolts and everything else, okay? Breaking bolts, bad welds that may not hold properly. Then on top of that, if you take a look at the non-I-15 side of the stadium, there's still curtain walls that have to be put in. They show you the good side of the stadium, right? Because CES is coming, right? And we want to see the good side on the I-15 side. But on the Polaris side, you get the real picture, which is, hey, they still have that black sheathing to put up. All right? So it's still a long way to go. And that's why it's like, here we go again. Oh, the Raiders are going to play their last game. It's going to be against Jacksonville. And I'm saying, are you sure about that? Are you really sure? Because, again, if the Raiders can't get private sector investors, and it doesn't mean the NFL is going to have to step in. The league meeting is tomorrow. It's one day. I was credentialed to go. I'm here. Does it mean the league is going to pump in more money, give them a greater credit facility? Okay. Well, I need to find that out. But there are clearly problems with this. Roger Goodell went in last week. He's going to go back in January. He's making a lot of appearances, okay? Because the draft is coming up in Vegas. And T-Surith says they're saying bolts broke because they were over-tightened and saying still on schedule to open on time. Well, look. Read this, okay? Forget what they're saying, because I don't even know who you are. But there's, that thing. But the authority on the Raiders Stadium are the whistleblower Las Vegas Stadium workers that have been reported in Oakland News Now. And so what you read, because you didn't understand what you were reading, was wrong. And you didn't know that you were being told the wrong thing. You had no idea, okay? The workers, all right? The workers know. And here's the link. The wrong thing is, I'm about to put the link up there. Here's the right story. And this is something you can check out. Just do a little internet work. Okay? But the whole point is, well, it's not really my story. It's the worker's story. Okay? But my point is that here is the link to the story. Okay? And it really is the worker's story because they contacted me out of the blue. All right? But I will explain to you in very simple terms that the problem is that in order to fast track this, the workers were instructed to start lifting the cable net. They were trying to find cables to pull on where the nodes were completely attached and they were strong enough to sustain that force, but where it wasn't completely constructed, they would leave that alone. They would try another. But the trouble is they were trying them manually. And when you try something manually, you know, it's like, how do I explain it? It's like a shower curtain. Maybe you have this old shower curtain up there. You want to pull it, you know, you're trying to pull it to see if certain areas are weak, or maybe you need to replace it here and there. So you're testing it, right? You're pulling on it. It's kind of like that. But you shouldn't be doing it because the overall stadium structure is holding this. But the overall stadium structure itself is still under construction. What you're supposed to do in a normal sequence of events is, as I'm told, build the structure and then connect the cable and then lift it. Because the structure itself, when I mean build the structure, I mean the seats, the frame, the curtain walls, the whole thing. Finish that and then build up. The problem is with all of that is the process I'm describing to you. And here's the really gigantic problem, all right? We're supposed to have been done during the summer when it's less likely that you're going to get rains. Well, now they're into the winter. They had on December 4th this tremendous rain problem. I don't know if you saw that, but take a look at this, okay? Tremendous rain problem that you didn't hear about through the Review Journal. Okay. And it was a very bad, I'll show you on the live cam. And I'll go back to December 4th archives and show you. Then I'm going to wrap up in about 10 minutes. But you got to see this, folks. I'll make a separate video about this because this is a travesty. It's an absolute travesty, okay? Right here. And I'll go back to this December 10th. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, there's 4. Then I'll go up a bit here. This is December 4th. This is not me. This is a fog because of the rain. This is how bad it was, okay? See, that was at 5:40 p.m. Let's go back a little bit. Okay. It's 5:20. It's dark. 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. This is rain, folks. This is a rain day. See how bad it was? See that? These are rain clouds. And rain just coming down. Now take a look at this right here. See how waterlogged that is? Okay. See that? Look at that. See the rain? Okay. See the rain? Look at that. Now take a look at this. This is the interior view. Okay, from that day. That was the interior view that day. See that? Another rainy day. Okay. It looks like they've been still pulling on the roof nets. See that? Pulling them higher a bit. Okay, but not quite there. Look at that. See that? Go over here. See? See? Another day, another week where we had one big rain. This is a flood day. It took 4 days for the stadium to dry out. Okay. Didn't hear about that. So if they had worked on the roof during the summer as it was originally scheduled, that would have been far less likely to occur. And if you go with Las Vegas historic weather patterns, it should have never occurred during the summer, right? But the winter, you get this. And oh, by the way, we haven't talked about the freezing cold that comes either. So all of this is conspiring to push these dates back. No one worked on the stadium during this period. Okay, no one worked on the stadium. Well, not no one, you know, the standard crew. So these problems are problems with structure, problems with the gable net being pulled out of place, problems with financing with respect to the sponsorships. And then you got to tell the stadium authority, then you have to tell the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority by April 1st, hey, we're out of here. But you better make sure, if you're going to do that, you got to make sure your stadium's ready. Bad stuff. Okay? John Carlos says, I think the Raiders should let the NFL and the Coliseum Authority know their intentions for the 2020 season after Super Bowl, at least to give the NFL a chance to make schedule for recent mid-April. Yeah, that's true. They need to get that out of the way. They really do. Wait, folks, it is 1:06, and I started earlier so I can finish early. More big days ahead coming tomorrow. I said I was going to tell you about an announcement I was working on, but I'll save that for tomorrow night. All right? Hey, thanks, and again, Emergence is about to start. I think Joseph Amenduris is watching it now. All right. So I'll see you guys. Joseph, tell me about it. Do a live stream on it. Live long and prosper, everybody. I'll see you. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks. And Chi, thank you. Big news. It involves you too, Chi. Good night, everybody. How you like it, Joseph? Emergence. Woohoo! See ya.